Good afternoon, everyone. I'm testing here for feedback. Thanks for coming out to our special tea party for the special session of the General Assembly. It's very special. Thank you for all for coming out. We've tried to make you a little bit comfortable by aiming the podium at the shade, but the real reason we wanted to face this direction is because we're here to speak truth to power, and that's where it is.
Yes.
We're here today to stand up for the freedom in Kentucky, for responsible government, for real solutions to the challenges that face us in Kentucky. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Andy Hightower. I'm with an organization called the Kentucky Club for Growth. The Club for Growth is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to advocating for economic liberty. Our mission is to keep our eyes on Frankfort and how our legislators are voting. We will offer praise to those who stand up for the taxpayer against tax increases and spending. And for those who support taxes and irresponsible spending, we will recruit candidates to run against them.
Right. Yeah.
You came here to take action to make sure our elected representatives hear us, and the Kentucky Club for Growth is committed to hold their feet to the fire. We're here today because right here in action in front of me, behind you, is a bunch of people with bad ideas.
Right.
We're here today because they're meeting in a special session, sending 60,000 of our dollars each day to consider matters, some that are unnecessary, some that are harmful, and none that are urgent. None that are bold ideas that would actually change circumstances and create greater prosperity here in Kentucky.
Right.
I think we all share a dream of a better Kentucky, one that is more free and one that is more prosperous because of that freedom. We all know Kentucky's not where we want it to be. We always speak of being first in the nation in exactly the wrong things. It has been this way for as long as any of us can remember. And here today, in front of a special session of the General Assembly, where they have hurried up to rush here and enact more of the same, more spending of the federal stimulus, avoiding real reductions to spending in order to live within our means, to create tax discounts for Hollywood filmmakers, to create greater flexibility so that the governor's deputy, the secretary of the executive cabinet, can more easily hand out tax breaks to businesses he decides are worthy. They're here to create casino gambling, but only for the Churchill Downs Corporation. And they want to put a new tax on driving in the form of tolls on our bridges. And each of these things is simply a waste of $60,000 a day of our tax dollars. And they're dragging it out. They're milking it for publicity. They know the media pays attention to them when they're here. The governor, Speaker Greg Stumbo, governor had a speech here on Monday, and he said the top priority of all these issues is passing a budget. And today, in the first action on the House floor, later today, they're going to consider tolls and tax breaks to well-connected industry. The budget might come onto the floor tomorrow. That's already $240,000. If it doesn't make it to the floor tomorrow so that the Senate could vote on it Friday, which would be another $60,000, we're already to $360,000 on items that don't need to be on the agenda.
Right.
It's all a waste. None of it's necessary, none of it's urgent. And in fact, at the start of the session, Governor Beshear said in his speech that passing the budget should be really simple because the legislature had already given him the authority to spend the way he wanted to spend. Really, he said he already had the authority. So I guess he's just called them all into town because he wants to hear it again. My friends, that is $360,000 worth of vanity. As for Churchill Downs casinos, if they really are a lottery, then the Lottery Commission could just create them. And if they're not a lottery, then it's going to take a constitutional amendment that can't be voted on until 2010. There is no reason it needs to be discussed now. There's $360,000 of unnecessary deliberation. I'll tell you what, tax breaks are as good in January as they are in June, as are toll bridges. If these are really critical agenda items, they can still wait till January. This session deals with no critical issue facing the Commonwealth. It was a failure before it even began. It is a failure of imagination, a failure of ideas, and a failure of leadership for the people of Kentucky.
Right.
I'll tell you what I think. I don't think we need to transform our storied horse racing industry into a video game arcade. What we need to do is to open up Kentucky to new industry of all kinds. We don't need a Christmas tree of tax breaks for our favorite race cars, Hollywood, and companies the Secretary of the Cabinet picks out. We need a tax code that is attractive to all business. We need real tax reform that lessens the burden of doing business in Kentucky. We don't need stimulus payments. We need to live within our means. Right here in Kentucky, we are receiving, I don't know if you've heard this number, we're getting $3 billion worth of stimulus payments. That is equal to 1/3 of the annual budget in this state. As Senate President David Williams pointed out on Monday, the stimulus is obscuring the real issue. We don't need a budget that makes small, across-the-board spending cuts. We need an examination of spending. The government has a spending problem that needs to be addressed, and it's a simple one to identify. They spend more than they have to spend.
Right. Yes. And where do they get it?
From our pockets.
Right.
The solution is just as simple as identifying the problem. They need to spend less. Instead of addressing the real issues, instead of considering real change, like real tax reform, repealing the artificial prevailing wage, creating a state pension system that better resembles what's available to the rest of us, and fixing the state's burdensome unemployment insurance system. Instead of offering real solutions, we get tolls, we get casinos, and we get stimulus spending. We get more of the same.
Exactly.
More debt.
More debt. More spending. And I'm fed up. I'm tired of it. And I know you are too. 3 months ago in Lexington, we were fed up. And 1,200 of us got together and rallied at the courthouse. And then 2 months ago, thousands of you across Kentucky met in 20 cities to rally and say we're fed up with more of the same from Frankfort and our leaders in Washington.
Right. Right.
And we are still fed up. We're done with $60,000 a day of tired ideas.
Right.
We're tired of focusing on how much money the government has instead of how many jobs we're creating.
Right.
We're tired of using an economic crisis as an excuse to advance pet political agendas like Churchill Downs casinos and nationalizing the healthcare system.
Right.
Yes.
We are tired of spending $60,000 a day on nothing useful, nothing that can really make the state a better place. You and I want change, and that's why we're here to demand it. If real change is not on the agenda, then it is time for them to go home and stop wasting our money. Thank you all again for being here. Again, we're the Kentucky Club for Growth. Please visit our website at kyclubforgrowth.org, where we're always on top of Frankfort.